So we are done with this aspect. So now the next aspect is now to go to this particular point where we have 3 cards: complete shipment card, shipment details card, start shipment card. Now if you come back to the notes, you come back to notes, we are done with the navigation bar. We have seen our navigation bar work out, how to change it and how to update it to what we want. So it's time for us to now go to the card component. Now we can call this the services component, where we have our service, the services that we render, which is to complete shipment, to check shipment details, and also to start shipment. And now you can see something here that we have container, we have role, and we have column. So the container is what is housing everything, like the parent element, bringing everything together. And also we have the row. The row is just a line. And now if you want to now divide the row into segments, then you now have it as column. So you have the container, which is the house of everything. Then you have the row, which is the line. So if you want to now bring everything together on a line, then you now have the column. And now we go ahead to create the services component. Don't forget, I told you every element you see on the web page, on the wireframe, you see it as a component. This is a component, this is a component, this is a component, this is a component. Everything is a component. So let's go ahead now to create our services component. So to create our services component, I told you are going to notice a pattern based on how I'm working on most of these things, and you'll be able to pinpoint how to structure yours. Just look at how everything is repetitive, the same way, the same thing. So now let us go ahead to our component. So when you want to start a new component, same way when we wanted to start a new component of navbar, the first thing we did is to come to the component folder, then you create the file. So click on the parent folder that I want to house the component, then click on add a new file. Then what is the name of our component? Let us call it services. So now that we have the services, I will just, the first thing, our arrow function. So I'll just do services, then have this bracket, then have this curly braces, which is the block of the function. Then don't forget to export it as default. Export default services. And once you have been able to do that here, then you come to the index file. You are going to be noticing pattern that we are going to be doing, what we are going to be doing. So I'll just import services. As you are writing, you'll be seeing the suggestion. So services, since you are exporting it as default, so it's easier for you to do that like this here. So once you import it here, then you can then just go ahead to export it. So I just like it to be on a separate line so that it will be to appear nice. So services. So to be sure that our services component has been successfully integrated, I'll just come in here and I will import services. You can see the benefit of writing it as not default, so that I can be able to do everything on the same line. So I'm going to create a new line for every component that I'm using on the web page. Now that our file is more than one, then I need to put it in a bracket. So I also need to have a fragment tag, like I've explained before. And also we have the services. So to be sure that services is really working, then I come to check it here on our web page. You can see now that we have the services component. So definitely based on our wireframe, after the navbar, the services components come next. So we are sure now that our services component is working effectively. So what we just need to do now is just to add our code. Now don't forget, you have the container. Let me go back to what I'm referring to. You have the container, you have the colon, and you have each row 3 rows, 3 rows, 3 rows, 3 rows. So if I go back, if you want to learn more, you can just come to the documentation and just go to layouts. You see the breakpoints, you see the grids are, you can see container, row, container. So this just have one container. So this one too, you can see this is also one container. This container flow is more, the breadth is wider, does not give too much allowance to the edge of the browser. So you can see this is a row, the first row of 2, the second row of 2, the first row of 3, the second row of 3, the third row of 3, and this is a row, this is a row, and everything has to be in a container. You can see. Let's see. So for now, you notice something here that they said on extra small screen, then it should be 6, meaning that it should normally we always have 12 columns in a row. So that means on a small screen, then occupy 6, so that others will just occupy maybe 3 to make 12. But let's see that in action. You can see, you can copy any of this one and see how it works. They even give you some of the outputs, which is why documentation is very good. Just look at it and you can always copy this code and use it. So this is the code that I'm going to be using, but I will just not copy it. I just like to write it so that in the process of writing too, you also get to understand it better. So the first thing is that we need some components from React Bootstrap. So what you need to do is to import it. So just a container from React Bootstrap. Also, I need row. Right now, you know what container means, you know what row means, you know what column means. So what I will just do is here, I will make the parent component to be container. So I will not make it a self-closing tag because I want to pass some child element. So I'll close the tag with another container, and for that I can have a class. Now when we talk about class is just like defining some CSS attributes of how you want your application to look like. And normally when you're writing your HTML, it's common for you to just use class. But when you're using Next or React, then you should, instead of using class, use class name. So this class, they are all coming from Bootstrap. There are some, Bootstrap is a CSS library that have already helped you to define some variables. Like for example, if you come to get bootstrap.com, you see, if you come to documentation, and you can even search for, let's say you are searching for padding, you can see that you have some classes that have been defined for you: margin top 0, margin S1, margin X2. So all these classes have already been defined for you. So what you just need to do, if you want to use this class, for example, instead of you to write this CSS, all you just need to do is just call this class. So when you see dots in front of an element, it means class. So just call this class. If I want to call this class, for example, I'll just copy it, then I'll just come into my code, then I'll just put that class here. Then I'll be able to use that. I'll be able to use this particular padding left of this, padding right of this. So padding is just space inside, margin is space outside. So this, you can see how they are using the class, but because this is HTML, that's why they are just using class. But when it's come to Next, when it's come to React, instead of using class, you use class name. And edit it, and I can't edit that, so use class name. But for now, we are going to be using, you can see from the web page that it's very close to the to the navigation bar. So we don't want it to be this close. We want to have some space in between. So I'll just do padding horizontal. That means the space in between the elements horizontally. So both up and down. So I can have padding top, I can have padding bottom. But for now, I want to apply the same space at the top. I want to also apply it to the bottom. So I'll just say padding X, padding Y, which means top and bottom. Then I want to have it as 5. The more the number, the more the space. So let me just go ahead to say services. So let me just save for you to see the effect of that space. You can see the space. You can see the space. So if you reduce the number to 2 and you save, don't forget what I used to, you can see that it's now closer to the top. Right, so that is that about that. So I'll just use 5 because I need more space. And now from the container, you can guess the next thing, which is the row.